Okay, 5-2, we're finding the slope and intercept. So the first thing we need to know is what is slope-intercept form. And so slope-intercept form is when an equation which graphs a line is written in the form y equals mx plus b. M is your slope, it's the thing that is attached to the x, and b is your y-intercept. And what a y-intercept is where your graph hits hits the y-axis. So a y-intercept for this line would be right here. And we need to know that for a y-intercept, if I haven't moved to the left or to the right at all, that my x value is always going to be 0 there. And we're going to write it as a point so we get used to that. Alright, so in y equals x plus 2, these are the two things I need to be looking at. My slope is the thing attached to x. If there's nothing attached to the x, I can put an invisible 1 there. And so my slope is 1. But remember, looking over here, slope gives me directions to get from this point to this point, but remember I can only move in triangles. So when we write our slope, we want it to be a fraction with up and down over left to right. So if it's a whole number, we can just put a 1 under it. And then if this is positive, I want to see the up arrow. If the bottom is positive, it means we're moving to the right. And then the last thing we need to identify here is our y-intercept. So B is the point, x is equal to 0, y is equal to 2. Let's look at this equation here. The first thing I notice is that it's not in slope-intercept form, so I need to get the y by itself, so it's in slope-intercept form. Line down from my equal sign, we're going to rearrange this so that y is alone. We move things across the line just like everything else by doing the opposite. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Notice I'm not lining up under the x because they're not like terms. This has an x, this doesn't. And y is equal to negative 1/3 x minus 3. Now I have a form that is slope and intercept, so I need to look here and here. Notice I'm highlighting the sign as well. So my slope is negative 1/3, and drawing my arrows, negative means I'm going down, positive means I'm going to the right, and then my y-intercept is the point 0, comma, negative 3. X is equal to 0, and we're hitting the y line at negative 3. Next example, we have our slope and our intercept. This one's already solved for y, so it's pretty straightforward. Slope is equal to 2. If it's a whole number, I can put a 1 under it. If it's positive, I'm going up. If it's positive, I'm going to the right. And my y-intercept is the point 0, negative 1. Example 4, I need to get my y by itself. So I'm going to solve for y, which means get y alone. Add 3/5 x to both sides. Once again, I'm putting this new term off to the right because it does not match with my negative 1. This has an x, my negative 1 doesn't. Now I have y by itself. And I'm going to leave it written like this because I don't want you to get in the habit of thinking that your slope is always the thing next to y. Slope is always the thing that is attached to x. And so even though this is not right next to the letter y and the equal sign, I know that this is my slope because x is attached to it. So we have an intercept and a slope. Our slope is 3 over 5. If it's positive, I'm going up. If it's positive, I'm going to the right. And my y-intercept is the point 0, -1. That's my y-intercept. We're running out of space here. Okay. This number 5 is already solved for y, so I can go straight to identifying the slope, which is attached to x, and the y-intercept. And our slope is 1 over 2. Positive 1 means I'm going up. Positive 2 means I'm going to the right. And my y-intercept is the point 0, -4. Number 6, we need to get number 6 in y equals mx plus b form. So I need to get y by itself. That means I'm going to need to move the 2x, and I move it across the line by doing the opposite operation. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides. Y is equal to -3 plus 2x. And then I'm remembering that my slope is the number attached to the x. So that means my slope is 2 and my y-intercept is -3. So slope is equal to 2, which is 2 over 1. So that would be up and to the right. And my y-intercept is the point 0, -3. Number 7. We already have y by itself. I'm going to identify my slope as the number attached to the x, and my y-intercept is 3. So slope is 2 over 5. If it's positive, I'm going to go up. If it's positive, I'm going to go to the right. And my y-intercept is the point 0, +3. Number 8, I need to put this in slope-intercept form, so I'm going to get y by itself. It means I need to move my 1/3 x, so minus 1/3 x to both sides. I'm using the opposite operation here. And y is equal to -2 minus 1/3 x. Slope is the number attached to the x, so my slope is -1/3. My y-intercept is -2. So slope is -1 over 3. Negative on the top means we're going down. Positive on the bottom means we're going to the right. And our y-intercept, I'm going to put that over here, is the point 0, -2. Number 9, we already have y by itself, so I need to look at the number attached to x, and my intercept is -2. If I don't have a number attached to the x here, I can put a 1 under it, and my negative on the top means we're going down, positive on the bottom means we're going to the right, and my y-intercept is the point 0, -2. Number 10, y is not by itself, so we're going to solve for y, which means get y by itself. I'm going to add 6 to both sides. Y is equal to -2x plus 6. My slope is the number attached to x, so my slope is -2, and my y-intercept is +6. So we're going to write this as my slope is -2. We want it as a fraction, so I'm going to put it over 1. If this is -2, it means I'm going down. If This is positive, it means I'm going to the right. And my y-intercept is positive 6, so it's the point 0, 6. Two more examples, and we'll do the next section in our next set of notes. Y is already by itself, so I need to identify my number attached to the x and my number for the intercept at the end. My slope is -5. Written as a fraction, I can put it over 1. Negative means we're going down. Positive is to the right. And my y-intercept is the point 0, -2. Last problem for today's notes. We need to get y by itself. So line down from the equal sign. I need to move the x. And y is equal to 0 minus x. Another way to write that, so we'll put an or here, y is equal to -x. And this is a good one to end on, because if you notice here, there's nothing after the x, which means that your intercept is going to be at 0. So if you see something written like this and you only have the x here, that means your intercept is at 0. So we're going to look at the number attached to the x and the intercept if there's nothing there at 0. And my slope is -1, which can be written as -1 over 1. Negative on the top means I'm going down. Positive on the bottom means I'm going to the right. And my y-intercept is at the point x is 0, y is 0. We will be writing equations next time, so you'll probably need to have this filled in on a separate sheet of paper that you're going to staple and hand in when we're done. So grab some graph paper when you come to class next time to take your notes.